everyone. Can you hear me okay? My name is David Wharton. I'm the chief architect for AWS and CDW. Today, I'll be talking about FinOps on AWS, accelerated outcomes to maximize ROI. I've been moving workloads to AWS for about 12 years. So my focus has primarily been migrations, but in the past 4 years, I've had a specific focus on cloud cost management and in particular, FinOps. So today I'm going to talk about transparency for cloud financial management, as well as some pathways to accelerate your FinOps journey. And I'll do a brief dive into committed use discounts, and I'll circle back to ways you can show your progress with your cloud stakeholders. So for those that are not familiar with FinOps maturity lifecycle, oftentimes you're in a different place, and it's really about surfacing the data and finding actionable use cases to get that across to your cloud stakeholders. So you may be at crawl, you may be at walk, you may be at run. It all depends on how sophisticated you are, and there are particular things you need to do to increase your maturity. And as you do that, your cloud consumption will drive down. So let's talk a little bit about the process, what that looks like. You want to put together an action plan. First thing you can do is acquire the data from CSPs, in this case, AWS. You can get the data natively from internal dashboards. There's also external tooling that you can lean on. You want to perform optimizations based on the cliche known as low-hanging fruit. So that's initial recommendations. And you want to start executing those so that you can get quick wins and start making progress in terms of unlocking ROI. So the next step is to view trends, budgets, set weekly reports. You'll want to talk about ways that you can view, delete redundant infrastructure, zombie boxes, storage optimization opportunities. And ultimately, through automations, you want to create guardrails that will leverage tooling and get you towards that continuous improvement. So hands down, probably the biggest place you can save is reserved instances and savings plans. So fundamentally, pay as you go is going to be a lot more expensive. But if you leverage savings plans, reserved instances, you're going to unlock savings as much as 60 to 75%, particularly if you're leveraging things like bring your own licensing. And so it's a balance. Important thing is understanding what that balance is and what's right for you and your organization. You'll always want to have some element of pay as you go. And the reason for that is lower environments. In most cases, whether it's a QE environment, a PE environment, you really only need it to be on maybe 3 days a month, maybe 1 week a month. And it's always going to be cheaper to have mechanisms to power that off through automations, through business hour scripting, than to buy an RI for it. Because if you're buying an RI or you're buying a savings plan for something that's only going to be on a week or 3 days a month, it's not going to be worth it. There's also tools out there that will help you with your reserved instance management lifecycle. So obviously, if you buy too many RIs and you don't use them, that's once again money lost. So you can have an overcommitment. And whether it's ProsperOps or Zesty, these are tools that actually can manage the lifecycle of your RIs, can even get you out of RIs that have been purchased for 3 years. You'll notice that workloads can actually run cheaper when you upgrade them. And you could have bought something for like a 3-year RI and it has an end of life in about 2 years, maybe a year and a half. So you want to think of creative ways to get out of those commitments if you did make that big 3-year commitment. Tools like Zesty and ProsperOps can help in that way. There's also reliable spot. So spot it's a way to save, but it's typically not reliable if you just use it out of the box with AWS. These tools leverage the spot technology and will make it more reliable. You can start to shift not just, lower environments, but also with appropriate testing, you can move some of your production workloads over to these platforms as well. And this all works within the AWS ecosystem. So the most important thing is understanding what those committed use discounts look like, and then also how that plays into your IT strategy. So the biggest savings you can get is implementing an IT roadmap over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years. This is what an executed roadmap looks like. So whether it's a task, project, or an initiative, you can see here as you go from crawl, walk, run, how as that sophistication increases, the consumption goes down. In this case, this is a real world scenario. This is a net savings of $3 million. And then as you go through all of these use cases, all these scenarios, it's important to understand the personas across your organization, the stakeholders across the cloud within your organization. Assembling a FinOps team could be an internal team. Maybe you're leaning on an external partner. But the important thing is to leverage all your successes, share all your successes, and to get all the cloud stakeholders aligned with how important it is to unlock this value. Because sometimes it's not always about saving money. It's about unlocking value for innovation, especially in an economic downturn. You want to find creative ways to unlock your potential, to unlock savings so that you can still do the projects that might have been on the cutting room floor. Some of the things that might also help you are rate negotiations with AWS. You can easily do that if you are a proper IAC shop. And I can't go into too much detail there. If you have questions about that, please see me after. But that's also a powerful way to unlock some value as well. So at CDW, we can help you. We have 3 main tiers to help you in your journey. We kind of meet you where you are. So we have the FinOps Accelerator. That's a 6 to 8 week accelerator. It takes you from crawl to walk or from walk to run. It really depends on where you are. And then you have teams internally that feel it's too much to take on right away. We have an engineering advisory tier for FinOps engineering, and we'll stick with you for a 6 to 12 to 24 month time period to essentially teach you to fish, help you execute, take you from crawl to run. And at that point, you'll know how to do it on your own through the quarterly updates, monthly updates we have with you. You'll understand the process and how to empower and enable your teams. And if that's something that's not of interest and it's still too much work, there's always managed FinOps, and that's a continuous engagement through our managed services division. And we'll just white glove FinOps for you and continuously save for you. Also, for our CSP customers, our consumption customers, we do have a free cloud cost management tool. It's called Inscape. It's got great dashboards, unlocking visibility for you, budget tracking. We have a whole anomaly component that's very effective. It actually tracks your crawl, walk, run progress within the application itself and gives you the cost optimization recommendations that you're looking to achieve. Also, at Booth 305, we're launching the storage optimizer for AWS. Just wanted to mention that. It's a tool that is working with the front end of Slack. It's essentially a Slack bot that looks at your environment and highlights areas where you can make improvements for your storage and ultimately save you money. In this case, there's like 15 scripts that are running right now constantly across your environment. And for example, I'm not sure who's familiar with multi-part uploads, but multi-part uploads are when you have an automated job that's moving data into AWS. If that job fails, let's say 90% of it got into AWS, but then it failed, and then you have to retry it. Hopefully it's successful later. But that failed job stays there. So that, gigabytes, terabytes of data that failed, that's there, and that needs to be cleared out. So Storage Optimizer for AWS will help find that, and then it'll also help you select a lifecycle policy so that those things don't happen again. After 7 days, those multi-part uploads are purged automatically. And that's based on a policy that you would set.
Thank you.